3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Michael Butler, and let's get ready for EJ Boxing Live.
Yes, we're back again, and we're going to talk about the welterweights, the extreme hot welterweights back in from the late 90s into 2000, I think 2006. Talking about some of the great fights that happened in the period in that period, and listen, it was hectic, but it was a great time to be a boxing fan. It's always a great time to be a boxing fan, but especially during this time. In fact, I think yeah, absolutely, it's a great time to be boxing. What's this here? Indication. Okay, all right. So let's get into it without further ado. Right, I think the first big fight that, but there was another fight actually. It was between Julio Cesar Chavez versus Pernell Whitaker, which is not there, which ended in a draw, which everyone felt at the time Pernell Whitaker won. I watched that fight and it was like he won, like he at least won by like 3-4 rounds, and that clear on the scorecard. And it was a superb performance by Pernell Whitaker. And for whatever reason, the English judge, what's his name again? It was the one who was refereeing Lennox Lewis, and it was the one who was. Did he judge? Yeah, he judged he judged Van der Oliver versus Lennox Lewis. I remember his name. I think it's something Keen, and he also took a point off the Ben and the Eubank second fight. This referee is a lot to be. It's controversial to say the least. No, it was Mickey Van. It was Mickey Van. I couldn't believe it. Mickey Van from the UK, who actually had the fight for did he have a draw? I think he had it for Chavez at the time, and it was just like, wow, one of the most controversial decisions of the 90s. Pernell Whitaker deserved to win that fight, and he didn't get the decision, and it was a draw, but he completely schooled Chavez, completely schooled him. So the next one we're going to talk about coming in the 90s. In 1997, we starting there, is my man Pernell Whitaker again against Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya, the new sensation, won the gold medal in 1992. Pernell Whitaker won the gold medal in, I think it was it in Land? No, I think it was. Did he win? No, he won the gold medal in 1988. I think it was in 1988. I think it was 1988. No, look a bit further than that, innit? No, it must have been 1988 because Lennox Lewis won in 98. 1990, 98, 1990, 92. Yeah. Well, it was about that time Pernell Whitaker and the Olympic team, they won their gold medal. But I don't think it was the same time in Oscar won it in 92 in Barcelona, and I think Pernell won it in was it in America? Oh, well, anyway. There's 2 gold medalists anyway. So basically they fought in, and it was a great fight for the fans watching. Pernell put on his great defense. Oscar De La Hoya couldn't find him. Even though Oscar De La Hoya was a younger guy, and that Pernell still had enough in there to make Oscar made it difficult for Oscar. And then when it came down to the scorecards, a lot of people felt Pernell Whitaker won that fight, but he didn't get the decision again. And that was kind of like with Pernell Whitaker's end of Pernell Whitaker's run in terms of these big fights. I mean, he did fight Trinidad after, and some other fights later around the rim, but Pernell Whitaker in effect was put out of the big fights. And Oscar De La Hoya was a new golden boy. This is the fight to say who's the legit pound for pound. Oscar didn't really prove himself in that fight for pound for pound, but he wasn't thing. But actually, sorry, my bad. Oscar De La Hoya fought thingy in Chavez, innit? He fought Chavez in 96, the first fight, where he basically just beat Chavez from pillar to post. I mean, he just went in and destroyed him. And this is the thing what Pernell Whitaker didn't do, but Oscar De La Hoya went in there and just destroyed him. Went in there, destroyed the legends, you know what I mean? And this Oscar De La Hoya having these great fights against these guys who were great champions in their day. I mean, Chavez and Pernell had a great fight. Pernell should have got decision. And Oscar De La Hoya is coming in and trying to clean up the old guard and trying to be the new guard. And that's what more or less what he was doing. He was, in some great fights. Oscar De La Hoya, Chavez, he blew Chavez out. Later on, he beat him up in the rematch as well. The same thing, Chavez actually stopped. and it was just vicious, man. Actually, Chavez done much better in the rematch, but he just couldn't deal with the younger, speed, hungry, faster guy. Pernell did pretty well against him. I met Oscar De La Hoya, but it's the same thing again. They couldn't deal with him. But then we move on to Oscar De La Hoya and the super fight with Felix Tito Trinidad. Felix Tito Trinidad, the long reigning IBF welterweight champion, dominated for many time. Great fight with him and Euroboy Campus. Also fought our guy Kevin Lucian, who actually put him down and come. And Trinidad, they always used to get off the campus and come back and put guys out. Man, he was an exciting fight from Puerto Rico. Like I said, Chavez was from Mexico. Pernell Whitaker was an American-born fighter, and Oscar De La Hoya was a Mexican-American fighter. But bridging the gap between the both of them, and Puerto Rico and Mexico have a massive rival, and it was on, man. It was on. That fight was on. It was lit. A lot of people was getting ready for that fight with Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. And listen, it turned into be a great fight. Felix was getting out of box, man. His nose was bleeding. Oscar was doing well, but for some reason, people looked at it and said Oscar De La Hoya just took his foot off the gas and allowed Felix Trinidad to get back into the fight. Now, I say the reason why that was is because Oscar felt the power of Trinidad and he didn't want to get too close. And I think after what happened to him, actually, I'm missing out a fight, actually. I'm skipping. I need to stay on track, Step on track. Let me finish what I'm saying, though, anyway, because this is the fight. So Oscar De La Hoya, he felt the power of Trinidad, and I feel that's why he went on his bike and didn't really want to get involved into that exchanges with Trinidad. And he was quite comfortable to go with points distance. He looked like he won like 7 or 8 of the rounds for me, easily. But when he got to the scorecards, the judges, and Oscar De La Hoya has been getting a lot of decisions. He got decision on Pernell Whitaker. He lost his first loss of his career, and Trinidad becomes the welterweight champion of the world. Was he undisputed? No, I think it was just 2 belts. It wasn't undisputed, but still, WBC IBF champion, becomes the champion, the number one of his era and that thing. The fight I forgot about, that I didn't mention is Oscar De La Hoya versus quartey. Now, that fight there, that should have been Oscar De La Hoya's first loss of his career. Inexplicably, what a great fight. Coming into that fight, quartey wanted to fight Trinidad, but Trinidad, for whatever reason, was busy. Obviously, Pernell Whitaker was dealing with substance abuse and other things, so he was out the picture. And at the time, the WBA belt was with quartey. He vacated it to Bronco McCarthy because he didn't want to fight. I think Bronco McCarthy fought some other guy at the time, and he didn't want to fight him. So he basically put himself on the shelf for about a year. Oscar De La Hoya was busy, but he's fighting guys, like I said, Pernell Whitaker and Chavez fights. And coming into that fight, you got quartey, who's very good boxer, great with his jab, kind of year layoff. So you think, he's going to take him well to warm up. So Oscar De La Hoya, the fight starts, and it was busy. Great, busy fight, backwards and forward. But, man, that fight turned into something. And for me watching it, I felt, and a lot of people felt, again, Oscar De La Hoya was losing the fight. Oscar De La Hoya got put down in that fight. He put quartey down. They had some great exchange. In the last round, De La Hoya knocked down quartey. But they were in the middle of the round. quartey was busting around with that jab, that bazooka jab of his, man. Busting De La Hoya up, man. Busting him up with that jab. Beautiful, man. Straight down the pipe. He caught De La Hoya with a wicked right hand straight through, but De La Hoya was coming back with his left hook. Tell you, De La Hoya was showing some moxie, boy. But De La Hoya, he looked like in that fight, De La Hoya knew to himself. He looked like De La Hoya looked like he won. He looked like he lost that fight himself. Let me see if my voice is all right. Yeah. Right? De La Hoya looked like he looked like he lost the fight. He really did this fight here. De La Hoya looked like he lost the fight. His body language says that he didn't feel like he won that fight. And I tell you, man, that fight was something. It was that was a great fight. I mean, they're all great welterweight fights, but that fight was a wicked fight. I just watched it again yesterday. It was a great welterweight fight, and like I said, it was style clashes, beautiful. But I felt in the end that quartey banked some rounds in that I thought he won the fight. I know even though Oscar De La Hoya knocked him down, I just felt like quartey should have got the decision. He didn't get the decision. And obviously, look, going into that fight where Oscar got the decision over Pernell and he got the vision of quartey, So they felt like that the judges are always on Oscar's side. And Oscar lost against Felix Trinidad. And so Oscar's rule of running the roost of controlling the thing broke, when he lost against Trinidad. Like most people, observers, felt that Oscar should have probably got that decision. Oscar should have got that decision. So shame, bad on Oscar De La Hoya, he didn't get that decision. Where's the other poster? Oh, yeah, cool. All right. I got these two fasters here. I shouldn't have these two here. So Oscar didn't get this in. So the next fight coming in, Felix Trinidad at that point moves up to super welterweight to fight David Reid for the WBA belt. Wins on decision against David Reid. Ends his career. David, the American Dream, ends his career. And he's looking for a showdown between Fernando Vargas now. So this is the fight between Fernando Vargas and Ike Quartey. Fernando Vargas had a very close fight with Ronald Winky, right? It was a backwards and forwards fight. So he still needed to prove himself that he deserved to be the pound for pound one of the best in the division. So Ike Quartey, over his decision of Oscar De La Hoya, decides to move up, blonde his hair, moves up, and him and Fernando Vargas put on a wicked fight. I felt at the time that Fernando Vargas, Ike Quartey at the time, he didn't seem too strong, but Fernando Vargas on his game. It was a good backwards and forwards fight, great exchanges, but most observers watching it to fight that Fernando Vargas nipped the fight. But it was a great IBF backwards and forwards fight for Ike Quartey, who got his second loss of his career. And Fernando Vargas goes on. Fernando Vargas at his time, he fought against Ross Minter. It's not Ross. Is it Ross Boss? I think it's not Ross Minter. Was it Ross Boss Minter? Anyway, he went against him in another warm up to get himself for the Trinidad fight, and then the unification fight between Trinidad. Where we go? Trinidad and Fernando Vargas. Where we at? That fight was wicked, man. That fight was another one. Where's that fight? There you go. There it is. That fight right there. This fight right here. This fight here. This is like the staple fight of the one of the fights of the whole backwards and forward of the welterweights. Trinidad coming in with his WBA belt, he took that of David Reid, and Fernando Vargas actually won the fight of Uruguay Campos, the long reigning 154 champion. So they were fighting that super welterweight. What's it called? Force of Destruction, they called it. Listen, fight was amazing. Absolutely amazing fight. Was it Cinco de Mayo? Listen, Puerto Rico, Mexico, back on again. And listen, the first round, Fernando Vargas, and coming into the round, undefeated, never been knocked down, amateur or pro. Trinidad been down a couple of times. Most people think that if it's going to be Fernando's time, can he be eclipsed Trinidad? He's in his prime. Listen, first round in, Trinidad catch Fernando with left hook, put him down. Right, put him down twice. I believe he put him down. Was it three? Put him down twice in the first round. It was bad, man. Bad, but he managed to hang on, managed to claw himself back into the fight. And then he put Trinidad down. I think it was round 3. Trinidad down on the floor. And then Trinidad come back hitting low blow. Then Trinidad hit him in a low blow later on again. And it's backwards and forwards. Oh, mate, the fight was brutal. And then it was a good backwards and forward. And then near it in the 12th round, I think it's what was another knockdown. No, there was not down. And then into the 12th round, Fernando Vargas goes down again. It's violent, and then he goes down again in the fights. And the Fernando Vargas loses his IBF belt. Trinidad unifies the 154 pounder with the Fernando Vargas IBF and the WBA titles. And listen, and a classic super welterweight fight. Beautiful. Backers and forward styles, and Trinidad goes on. Trinidad later on goes on to into the middleweight division, the unification fight with Bernard Hopkins and William Joppy, Keith Holmes. But we're not really going to discuss that because that's a middleweight divisions. But the welterweights there was wicked. That's the end of Trinidad for a minute. Fernando Vargas at the time is really trying to recover himself and trying to work out what's going on. So Oscar De La Hoya is still trying to get back after his loss to Felix Trinidad, decides to fight a couple of fights. The first fight he decides to fight, I think he fights Arturo Gatti as a comeback fight. He's still pretty doing all right. And then Shane Mosley comes on the scene, the welterweight champion, the long reigning welterweight champion, jumps into the picture, and Shane Mosley said, yeah, I'll challenge him. They fought as amateurs. Great fight. And they went to war in the Staples Center, man. And I'll tell you, that fight right there was a... Listen, you want to talk about skill, high skills, back and forward, like a chess match. It was beautiful boxing. Oscar De La Hoya was a bit flat-footed in that fight, very strong, but he hit with a ton of bricks. But I think he employed the wrong strategy in that fight. He could have probably boxed more, but he decided to be more flat-footed, and I think he was trying to intimidate Shane and try to bully him and try to knock him out. But it wasn't to be. Shane Mosley in the fight explicitly turned to southpaw. And in the fight, and just befuddled Oscar De La Hoya, and he was muddling Oscar, and then switched back against Oscar De La Hoya, and started coming back with some beautiful combinations, and he just edged it on the scorecards. Yeah, it was close though. Even in the last round, he dropped back Oscar De La Hoya's head with some beautiful combinations, and yeah, man, it's the second loss of Oscar De La Hoya's career. He was frustrated at this point. Oscar De La Hoya's fired the whole of his team and brought in Mayweather Senior, and we're gonna talk about that as that goes on. Shane Mosley. Now they class him as power pound number one, eclipsing Roy Jones, who they felt Roy Jones wasn't really doing that much. So Shane Mosley, after beating Oscar De La Hoya in this fight, becomes pound for pound. He goes on to beat in his first fight against what's his name, Julio Diaz, beats him, and then he beats Adrian Stone. No, he beats what's his name again? Not Adrian Stone. He puts Thingy Lester from Australia. Then he beats Adrian Stone, and he goes against Vernon Forrest, who he fought in the amateurs, and Vernon Forrest beat him in the amateurs, and he goes in and gets knocked down. Got a head clash, a headbutt in the fight, accidental, and then got knocked down in the round, and then I think it's the second round, and then loses his WBC title, and Vernon Forrest is the man, and Vernon Forrest holds his title. Oscar De La Hoya rebuilds himself, moves up to 154, fights the Spanish guy for the I think it was the WBC belt, his WBC belt. So he's there at 154, and now we're talking about him and Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas and Oscar De La Hoya, bad blood. The fight has been simmering for who's the real Mexican. Oscar De La Hoya or Fernando Vargas, a Mexican-American, and they have their long-anticipated fight between Fernando Vargas and I think Fernando Vargas, after loss to Trinidad, he decides to dedicate himself in the gym, becomes really muscular. Oscar De La Hoya comes in with a slick style from Mayweather Senior, defense, fast punches, combinations, and just working off his jab. And the fight was beautiful to watch, man. Fernando Vargas coming from power punches. He was trying to intimidate Oscar De La Hoya, was moving, who he didn't think he was strong in the division. It was a beautiful backwards and forwards until Oscar De La Hoya rattles off a wicked combination to the body and bang! Hits Fernando Vargas in the chin, and he left with that left hook. And it was up and popping, man. It was up and it was a good fight. Oscar had some trouble in the fight. His face even got grazed up, but ultimately, Oscar De La Hoya won the fight. And now Oscar De La Hoya is calling out Trinidad. He's calling out Shane Mosley. He's calling out all the names that beat him. And yeah, man, he wants redemption. So at that point, Vargas is out the picture for a bit at this time. So Oscar De La Hoya now is back on top, and he wants Shane Mosley in a rematch. So do we get it, man? You get it. You get the rematch. So Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, redemption. That's what they call it, man. Redemption here. And listen, that fight right there is a lot of it's controversial, but I was watching it on the UK broadcast, yeah. And for me, when I watched it, I gave the fight to Shane Mosley, man. There were some rounds of Shane Mosley. When he won the rounds, he won it big. Even to the point, he busted up Oscar De La Hoya. Now, obviously, after that fight, there was speculation that Shane Mosley was taking, and the Balco thing, taking drugs and stuff like that. But, I don't know too much. He admitted he was taking some sort of substances. But in any case, yeah, Oscar De La Hoya, obviously it's the drug test and whatever. But, boy, listen, he gave Oscar a good beat. And Oscar was coming on pretty confident after the Fernando Vargas win, and he racked up a good couple of wins. But, yeah, ultimately, it was a good fight. I think Oscar was just trying to nip it. And I gave it to Shane, and Shane won the fight. Shane won that fight, and Shane went on after he said that he promised Winky Wright, because De La Hoya didn't want to fight Winky Wright, and he promised to fight with Winky Wright, and Shane went on to lose to Ron Winky Wright, who became the first one of the first 154 super welterweight champions in a long time, since I believe it was Tommy Hearns, the guy to be undisputed. So he became undisputed, won a winky white after beating Shane. They had another rematch, and then Shane lost again. So Shane built himself up again and then lost to Ronald Winky White after losing twice to Vernon Forrest. So he has 4 losses on his record, twice to the same guy. De La Hoya at this time decides to move up into middleweight division. So we leave De La Hoya for now as he goes up to try and fight Bernal Hopkins and them guys there. The next fight, let me see. So Trinidad decides to come out of retirement. Where's Trinidad? I don't think Trinidad decides to come. Trinidad decides to come out, and this is the new guy on the block, Ricardo Mayorga. Yeah, Ricardo Mayorga is the new guy on the block. Ricardo Mayorga decides he fought. He won. What's his name? Thingy Six-Head Lewis. Andrew Six-Head Lewis knocked him out. He knocked out Vernon Forrest. In their fight in the second 2 rounds. Beautiful fight, excellent fight. Just broke on the scene, and so he's picked up 2 belts, and then he goes into a unification fight with Cory Spinks. And listen, bro, it was a good fight. He got deducted a lot of points by the referee. The referee was interfering quite a lot, and then Cory Spinks wins against Ricardo Mayorga in a great fight and becomes the undisputed welterweight champion. Ricardo Mayorga pissed off and upset. At this point, Ricardo Mayorga decides to move up to I think it's a 154 or around that middleweight, or I think it's welterweight, whatever catchweight they decide to fight Trinidad. And listen, he dyes his hair. And listen, that fight was great. He tried to do the same kiddogy thing like he did with Vernon Forrest, where he lets people hit him in the jaw and tries to intimidate them. But he didn't work with Trinidad, man. He worked with Trinidad. Trinidad took off his whole chin, man. He busted him up, man. Trinidad beat him up like I've never seen no one beat him up. He beat him up so bad. But it was real disrespectful stuff that Trinidad, the Mayorga was doing to Trinidad, and he got a beating, man. It was horrid. It was horrid. It was horrid, man. But Trinidad, after beating Ricardo Mayorga, goes on to fight Winky Wright at middleweight. He loses and then retires. He loses him, and then he fights Roy Jones and then losing, and after that he retires, and that's the end of Trinidad's career. Ronald Winky White goes on after beating Trinidad to go up to middleweight to fight, but he ends up losing a couple of fights. Fought Jermaine Taylor, and then later on retired, so he's at the picture. At the same time, Ricardo Mayorga's still there. Ricardo Mayorga goes back down to 154 super welterweight, catches the WBC belt. I can't remember who beat, but he beat someone and won the belt. Oscar De La Hoya is still rebounding from the loss to Bernard Hopkins, comes back down and challenged Ricardo Mayorga. And Ricardo Mayorga shows insulting stuff about Oscar's kids and his wife. The same thing he did to Trinidad. And then listen, it was a good fight. Oscar De La Hoya, still with Mayweather Senior, putting an excellent display of boxing. And boy, he just beat up Ricardo Mayorga, something dirty. Beautiful, busted him up. Good, man. Busted him up real good. And Oscar De La Hoya, catches the belt, and he goes on later on to fight Floyd Mayweather, and he loses, and later on he fights Manny Pacquiao and loses. But at that point, Oscar was good. So Oscar and Trinidad, they're out the picture. Ricardo Mayorga is still around, actually. He fought Fernando Vargas, who's jaded from the long time. Fernando Vargas, they had a fight as well. Ike Quartey went on to fight Ronald Winky Wright. He lost on decision. So he was still there. So a lot of these guys are all phasing out of the picture. Anyone else we got? I think that covers quite all of them. Quite all of them. Let me see. Let me see if I got anyone else left in the picture. Let me see, because there was some classic fights here, man. Classic fights. Let me see. Oh yeah, Ricardo Mayorga fought Shea Mosley. I thought they fought twice actually. There wasn't really memorable fights, but that's more or less the end of that era, that great era of boxing. But that was one of my most memorable eras of boxing from 1997 to 2006. Some great fights in there. And you guys check them out, man. They're all in. I put them in the description box. So if you want to go watch them yourself, quite a few rematches there between Chavez, De La Hoya, 1 and 2, Oscar De La Shane Mosley 1 and 2, Vernon Forrest, Shane Mosley 1 and 2, Ricardo Mayorga, Vernon Forrest. They had 2 fights. Shane Mosley, Winky Wright, 2 fights, and Ricardo Mayorga, Shane Mosley, they fought twice as well. So there's quite a lot of fights in there for you guys to watch. But the most notable fights you want to have some real, all of them got action fights. Trinidad Vargas, excellent. Mosley De La Hoya, classic, beautiful fight, and De La Hoya quartey. They're my notable fights that I really enjoy. You know what I mean? It was really good fights though. Anyway, man, I thought I'd share that with you of the time of like when I was watching boxing, and these guys put on some great fight. There's a time when these guys, they all decided to fight each other, and the belts were there. Yeah, we understand the belts. Were the undisputed champion? Some of them wasn't. But the thing is, they all fought each other. You know, props to men like Pernell, Whitaker, Chavez was the last guard of the last kind of generation, and you had Trinidad and the De La Hoya coming through. You know what I mean? It's always got the young lions coming through against the old guys, and then obviously Oscar De La Hoya became the older guy against Pacquiao, against Floyd Mayweather, and against some of them other guys. You know what I'm saying? But now Hopkins, even he became older, and against them guys, Joe Smith Jr. and against Kolev and some of them other guys. That's how boxing is. Fernando Vargas, did he start off his career too fast, too soon? I don't know, man. But I know that Fernando Vargas has some great fights. So did Winky Wright. So did Ron and Winky Wright. They all had classic, great fights. You know what I mean? Ricardo Mayorga was there. Was another character. Beautiful time. It was a great time of boxing. Probably one of my favorite time of boxing that I really enjoyed in boxing. And I just thought I'd share it with you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed my history of back in the days of when the welterweights ruled. And obviously, I can mention the junior welterweights was Costa Zoo, Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto coming through, Zab Judah, their fight, that whole little sequence there. Obviously, Diego Corrales was in there as well. I think he was. Was he briefing there? Not really, actually. That whole, what's his name again? Arturo Gatti. Mickey Ward at a lower level, they had some great fights as well. Yeah, I could have mentioned some of them guys back there at what's it, light welterweight, or what do you call it, junior welterweight? They call it junior welterweight in America. Yeah, man, it was some great Vincent Phillips who beat Costa Zoo. Then he lost to Ike Quartey. A lot of them guys are moving up, moving down between that welterweight division, between 140 to 147 to 154 pounders, man. Great fights. Go on to middleweights or whatever. Great fights, great champions. And I think Shane Mosley is going to the Hall of Fame. You know, beating Oscar De La Hoya twice. I mean, the first time he became pound for pound. The second time he became unified champion at 154, man. And these guys, Fernando Vargas was outstanding. You know, really gave them real entertaining fights, man, at the expense of their lives and careers and stuff like that. From Ghana to Mexico to America, Mexican American to you know, all over the globe, man. From where's it? Ricardo Mayorga, where's he from? He's from where's he from? Not Panama. Where's he from again? Nicaragua, to Ghana, to California, to Mexico. Excellent, real good fights, man. So I thought I'd share that with you. Hope you guys enjoyed my take, and leave your comments in the comment section. I'm EJ Boxing Live, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.